Hey guys, before we get going here, I want to talk to you about No Bull. This podcast is brought to you by No Bull, Barstool's favorite footwear brand. And at the end of the day, just a bunch of no bullshit people working hard to get better. Getting to be that time of year for a reset. Summer's winding down, football's back, schedules start filling up, and you get to kind of get back in rhythm a little bit, okay? So whether you're getting back at the gym, taking the dog for a longer walk, training for something, or just trying to move more, momentum starts by showing up, and No Bull can be the first step in helping you build that momentum. No gimmicks, no flashy promises, just apparel and footwear that help you keep going once you get moving. If you've been looking for a sign to get back into a routine, this is probably it. Check out what No Bull's doing, because once you get rolling, the hardest part is already behind you. Exclusively for Dog Walk listeners, No Bull is offering 35% off your first order. Visit nobullproject.com and use code DOGWALK for 35% off your entire first order. That's NOBULLPROJECT. One more time, NOBULLPROJECT.com and use code DOGWALK for 35% off. Also, guys, pardon my cheesesteak. If you're watching the game, working late, or just too lazy to cook on a given night, there's only one place to call, and that's part of my cheesesteak. We're talking thinly sliced steak, melted provolone, mouth-watering cheese sauce, all loaded up on a perfectly toasted hoagie roll. This is a legit heavy hitter cheesesteak. And if you really want to do it right, grab the Big Cat combo. Cheesesteak, fries, and a drink, or the brand new chopped cheese combo. That's a complete meal. It's available nationwide and delivers easy. Game day, covered. Late night, covered. So stop overthinking dinner. Order part of my cheesesteak right now and use code AWL for free delivery on partofmycheesesteak.com. All right, man, today's Thursday. It is August 13th. Welcome to the Dog Walk presented by Barstool Sports. I'm joined in studio today by Joshua. Joshua is a blacksmith, so we're doing a little bit of a job interview. Haven't done one of these in a little bit, so I'm excited to have Joshua. And Joshua, thank you for being here.
Absolutely. Happy to be here.
So blacksmithing. I went to Southern Illinois University.
Nice.
Have you ever heard about their blacksmithing program?
I have. It's one of the few programs in the country, I believe, that you can get a degree in like metalworking or blacksmithing.
Okay, interesting, because we met a kid my freshman year, and he said he was doing blacksmithing, and we were like, I didn't know that existed still. You know?
Yeah.
We were like, holy cow, like that's like I thought it was all machine made or whatever. And granted, we were 18-year-old kids. We didn't really know what was going on.
Yeah.
So it's kind of funny.
Well, it's pretty cool, actually. In the last, I want to say 5-10 years, blacksmithing has had kind of a big resurgence, just as like a hobby and a craft. Southern Illinois University, they do, I know they have a blacksmith. I think it's a degree. It's like you can get a bachelor's degree. But for the most part in this country, there isn't, like an accredited system for blacksmithing like that. So most people don't see it as a career path necessarily. Like in Europe, they have the apprenticeship program, and you get, your journeyman and then your master's certification and all that. But here, there's not really anything. But actually, now there is a program through Urbana where you can get certified nationally, which is pretty cool.
So what are the other like top blacksmithing programs or like schools? Do you know? Or is Southern one of the only ones you know of?
I mean, in the States, I don't know of that many. There are lots of schools popping up now where you can learn, sort of the basic skills and stuff. It's mostly for novices, as far as I'm aware. But I should have researched that. If
it's all right.
No. It's it'd be great to shout out because like I said, a lot more people are getting into this as a hobby.
Why? What's the resurgence? Why are people getting into this?
Honestly, Fortune Fire. People watch that show and they go like, "Oh wow, that's cool. I want to try that."
So Fortune Fire is a blacksmithing show?
So It's a bladesmithing show, basically. Huh. It's where people make. Are you familiar with Fortune?
No, you said that. And I was like, Fortune Fire.
Okay. It's
no.
In my particular bubble, like everybody has seen that show. So
got it. Forged in Fire. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's kind of a big deal. I get a lot of people talking to me. Oh, I've seen every episode of Fortune Fires. And that show is, it's a well produced show, I think, and it really does showcase a bunch of different. different people from across the country and all that. They pretty much exclusively do swords and knives on that show. I, as a blacksmith, so I would call that like a bladesmith, basically. I do, I've done swords and knives and axes and all that stuff too, but my main gig is doing ornamental work. Light fixtures, staircases, stair rails, gates, all that kind of thing, but like, fancy. Anyway, so I'd say that would be a big push for a lot of people getting involved in a hobby. And I've watched like the basic supplies you need to set up a forge go from like, dirt cheap, nothing, you find them in junkyards, to now like even a used anvil is going for like crazy amounts of money. And then now it's finally starting to come back down because there's companies producing stuff. So that's usually a pretty good indicator that a hobby or a craft is gaining wider acceptance, is when the supplies,
when people start making stuff.
Start making the supplies for it.
It's not a makeshift anymore.
Yeah.
Interesting. So I was not familiar with Forge and Fire, but from the research that I did, I saw that for a blacksmith, sometimes like doing swords is kind of a pain in the ass and like not as applicable as people think. Is that true or no?
Yeah. I mean, so swords, if you want to make like a forged sword, it takes a lot of, you have to build up a set of skills in order to do that. You can make something that's like, sort of sword shaped. I also teach, and I get people who come into my class and they're like, can I make a katana? And I'm like, well, you can make a thing that's shaped like a katana, and have fun with it for sure. But
what's the difference? That the katana is just sharpened and has like the blade, and yours just looks like it's not sharp, or what?
I mean, I get okay. So there's like the katana that you can buy at the mall, and that is made out of like a stamped piece of stamped out of a piece of sheet metal. They put an edge on it, maybe polish it up. That's kind of it. Traditional katanas are made out of different types of steel that are forge welded together, folded over each other, and then heat treated and quenched in a very specific way to get this result of a flexible but it'll hold an edge very well type of blade, right? I'll go even further than that, making long, straight, smooth objects can be very difficult, especially if you don't have if you haven't had a lot of practice in it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And then are you so let's go back to like what got you into this? Like, why did you start? When I was around, 15, 16, I've been making stuff my whole life, and I did some sculpture classes. So that's where I learned how to weld, and that was kind of, I decided metalworking is really where I wanted to be at. Then I got a job when I was like 18. It was my first job working for a blacksmith in Chantilly, Virginia. And I don't know how he got work. He was out in the middle of nowhere. But that kind of, inspired me to explore more of the traditional methods of metalworking. The first job we worked on was like these huge light fixtures for a Tommy Hilfiger store in LA. And I don't know how he got that gig, but, he definitely did. And so just, picking up some of the basic parts of what it takes to be a blacksmith, that really got me into it. But in terms of like my motivation for approaching this is that I love crafts. I love all crafts. I make everything that I can, and blacksmithing is like, I don't know, it's just kind of the material speaks to me, and the experience of being able to like actually feel the hot metal move under your hand. You know what I mean? I mean, it's the most tactile and basic method that I've found, and it's like there's such a depth of knowledge there to dive into and really get really obsessive about, and that's kind of what attracts me to it. But it's also it's a really good vehicle for me doing my creative stuff, like making art, and you can design anything out of metal, and it's pretty great. Nice. So scratch the creative side, and then you met someone who kind of showed you the ropes, and then you kind of dove in, huh?
Yeah. I mean, so between my first job and doing blacksmithing full time, I had a few other gigs where I was working at like fab shops, so like what you might consider like a welder fabricator type job. And that was doing like, everything from large structural to small structural to, just repair work, all that kind of stuff. Most of the fab shops I worked at, I wound up being the ornamental guy, just because I was the only one who could really like sort of get their head around that kind of thing.
What does exactly that mean?
So, if you think about stuff made out of steel, so there's like fabricators, and they are probably like what you might think like a carpenter does. It's kind of like that, but for steel. So it's like, cutting up parts, welding them together, making functional objects, that kind of thing. The ornamental stuff is, basically some of all of that, but designed to look pretty.
Okay, so you're kind of it's functional, but that's more the functional side, right? What's the carpenter side? What is
fabricator.
Fabricator. So
Yeah,
that's kind of like that. And yours is like you did Tommy Hilfiger. Like they want those to look good, right?
Right.
So that's kind of the difference.
So like about so let's see, 2010. So 16 years ago, I started my own business, because I basically I was working at shops and like doing the ornamental stuff, and it's like it got to the point I was meeting with the clients, I was going over the drawings, I was redesigning stuff. It's like I'm kind of doing everything except taking the check, at the end of the day. So I started my own thing, and that is all. So my primary focus with that is just the ornamental side of stuff. So like, functional art and ornamental metals are sort of what I do most of, and that's designing things that will have a function, but mostly they're designed to look good.
Okay. And then so you've been doing it full time since 2010, you said?
Yeah.
And I noticed when we first started, you said like people watch it, Forge and Fire, they do this as a hobby. So how many people are doing this full time?
People doing this full time. I couldn't give you. I can't give you a number.
Like in the city, how many other,
There's like 2 other guys I know of
that are doing this.
That are and and they both have their own kind of little niche thing. I think one guy does. I think he mostly does like production forgings, which is like they have big machines that do forging. But he considers himself a blacksmith, but they're just forging a bunch of little parts. Okay. Then there's another guy who does really. He's like kind of the opposite end. Honestly, he's like just. He makes art and sells it, and that's kind of his gig. But there's a lot more people who do some blacksmithing as well. I think you'll find, in the creative fields like that, most people wear a few different hats. You know what I mean? So it's like you'll do some, maybe work for somebody else in their shop, and then you'll, maybe do like some jewelry, and then also. Making tables, whatever. Like,
and then what do you mostly do? What's your...
So I'm really fortunate now that I get to kind of pick and choose my projects.
Nice.
So I pretty much just do. I try to make time for repairs and that kind of stuff, but mostly I just do my own designs. People will say, hey, I have this grand entryway. I need a gate for it. What do you think? And I'll like just design something for them and build it and install it. And, I get to kind of express myself that way.
What's the most requested item?
Most requested item? Actually it would probably be like a gate. I don't know. Have you seen my website?
I have not. I'd love to pull it up though and see some stuff. What is it?
jgilbertmetal.com.
jgilbertmetal.com. Okay.
And I think probably the first picture in that little portfolio thing is a gate. You can go through gates there. But that's, it's, I think I get asked for those a lot because it's, something people can kind of get their head around and something where they can think, okay, here's a spot where I could have something really beautiful, for my home, for my business, whatever. And it's,
We're talking like an entryway gate to like a driveway or something like that.
That's some of them. I actually did one for the same guy who we were just talking about. Ignite Studios, his summer home. I did a garage or a driveway gate for them. But also like garden gates. I do get asked for security or like railings. That kind of thing. People have a nice stairway they want to decorate. Yeah,
this is really nice and intricate. It's really cool. How would how would someone who's just kind of walking by and sees something like this, and like one of these is a, I don't want to say a screen door, but I don't know, how would you call that? Like a storm door or something? I don't know, whatever.
Oh, the, which one are you talking about?
The first one on like the
Oh,
entry.
okay. That's actually a courtyard entryway.
Courtyard entry. Yeah. So that like, how would someone walk past this and see like, obviously you handcrafted this? Like
that is like the struggle of my life, just so you know, because I've had the conversation with people a number of times. I'll be like, oh, I didn't even realize somebody made those things. It's like, well, how do you think it got there? I mean, I think people have, it doesn't occur to people that, something's going to be handmade just by seeing it probably a lot of the time. But for those that do and understand and can, like once you've seen, you can see the difference, you kind of can't go back.
Okay.
So that's where I get a lot of my clients and,
but am I ignorant to say that most of these type of doors or gates are just like a hand pressed in a facility kind of thing? Like
you mean like other, not on my,
not yours, obviously, but I'm saying like if I walk past a block of screen, a block of gates, and I saw them, like, is that ignorant of me to assume that they were just?
I wouldn't say ignorant, definitely. But I mean, it also sort of depends. So like, like this, right? Uh-huh. That's obvious. That's made in a factory, right? And there you can see gates that, are like that. Some, you can buy them factory made. Interestingly, Chicago had a law for a while. I don't know if it's still on the books or not, but basically I forget what it was. Something like you can't have chain link fence, and fences have to be a certain height or something like that. I don't know, whatever. But basically, it meant that you either had to do a wood fence that you couldn't, you wouldn't get any light through or something, or you could do like an iron fence. So there's a bunch of companies in Chicago that just do like fences. And that's kind of where, because everybody, anytime you want a fence, this is what you had to do. So to come back to your question, when you look at, just walking down the street and you see, just a bunch of bars connected to other bars and there's a gate there, that's probably, a lot of that is somebody made it, but out of prefabricated parts. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like you can just like order a curve thing that the bars go through, and then you just weld it together. So it's, a little bit of tweaking in that, you have to measure the size of the thing or whatever. So that's, but it's still, still done in a fab shop for the most part.
Oh, okay. So it's just not all done in one shot kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, there are definitely like, prefab things that anybody could put up, just with like a screwdriver or whatever. But mostly if you see an iron gate, somebody somehow put it together, made it. Is there like a tell that like someone would be able to see and be like, oh, that's handcrafted? I mean, so I think for modern stuff, you have to look for, I don't know how to put it. I guess like sort of intentional irregularities. That would be the tell, because a lot of times now, so like the whole handmade craft movement, that's a whole big thing, for both in the art world and design world, whatever. But being able to see somebody's hand in it, you know what I mean? Like see that there's, okay, so that's, this leaf does not look the same as that leaf. You know what I mean? It's really more of like, you can tell stuff was prefab if you look at it and it's like, okay, every single thing is exactly identical, and they're all put together in the same way. And like where two parts join, there's like a big globby weld, like that's stuff you can typically tell is not handmade. But it is, that also brings up an interesting point about blacksmithing in that community, is that, traditionally, like if you look at blacksmithing from, the 1700s or something like that, the whole, like first of all, they would call themselves whitesmiths doing decorative stuff. But the whole point of that was you don't want any kind of markings on it. You want everything to be as smooth and perfect as you possibly can, because, this was before you could just buy a box of, prefab leaves that are all perfect. You know what I mean? So they, every single surface is nice and polished. These days, if you produce something where everything is absolutely, spot on perfect, people are just kind of, they think it might be, made by a machine somehow, despite it not being. But yeah, the tell, is just kind of, you sort of have to get a feel for it, I would say. I don't know.
So do you have to tell people before you make something like, hey, I'm making this myself, this is handcrafted? Not everything is going to be the same.
Yeah.
And have you had someone be disappointed, like, hey, that leaf looks a little...
I've never had anyone be disappointed. I mean, I have to kind of like, I've been practicing, I've been doing this for, 30 years. So I have to kind of pull myself back sometimes from making things too perfect. But I do have to explain to people that, hey, I'm making this myself. Like it's just me. I got a shop, I got a bunch of tools, and I make this thing out of a pile of steel. Because people are like, oh, that's a kind of an expensive product you got there, and I'll just be like, this is going to take me a month, like how much do you get paid in a month?
Yeah.
And then add on top of that overhead and materials. And, it's actually, compared to a couch, it's cheaper by the foot, I like to say. Like,
yeah. So this like double entry gate, that took you like a month?
Oh, that one, that's probably a good 8 to 10 weeks.
Wow.
I spent on that. The double one?
Yes, the double one.
And that's got like cast glass inlays and
holy cow. 8 to 10. And how many out like roughly?
I stopped counting. I don't know. But like, it's gotta be, I mean, a couple hundred.
Wow. And that's like a tens of $1,000 kind of piece?
Yeah, I mean they got a really good deal on it, honestly. But I would say something like that, 10 to 15 grand is not unreasonable.
Dude, that's that's kind of crazy. Is it almost daunting to put like so much time into one thing?
It can be, for sure. I think so blacksmithing as a craft, it's kind of like you have to have some patience if you want to do the complicated stuff. Like glass blowers, actually, this is a good example. I was talking to a friend of mine who's a glass blower, and he's like, oh man, this project I was working on, it took me so long. I was like, oh really? How long did it take you? He goes, like 2 hours. I'm like, dude, that's how long it takes me to set up. Get all my stuff ready to go before I actually even make the thing, whatever. But it's it kind of suits my temperament, I guess. But it does take a lot of time, especially if it's the C word, custom.
Yeah.
It just it is what it is.
But you really got to make sure you have good clients, right? Because I mean, if that glass blower 2 hours, like if someone, I don't know, is not happy or doesn't pay the bill, like that's a lot of time tied up into one piece. Or if someone kind of burns it, that'd hurt.
Well, I mean, that's the other reason. I mean, so there are projects I do that don't take a lot of time, for sure. I mean, I've got if I ever want to do like a craft fair or whatever, I can do a bunch of knives or hooks or little handcuff puzzles, something like that. Those don't take me very much, and that's just something that I'll just make and then sell. For the commission projects, I mean, got to get a deposit, got to have a contract.
Yeah.
Even if it's somebody you feel like well.
Yeah.
But and again, it's when I say I get to pick and choose my projects, that's really lucky in another way, is that it's something that I enjoy doing. You know what I mean? I mean, like this stuff is my work, but it's also like my hobby.
Yeah.
I do it when I have free time. It's just sort of different stuff. So a lot of times with those big projects, it's sort of, to me, it feels like having the opportunity to do it. You know what I mean?
So you look forward to those, even though it could be a big task.
Yeah, and just being able to, especially when it's something in my own design, and just be like, hey, I made that. That's me. Nobody else can put any kind of claim on that at all. It's my design, my shop. Everything in my shop is stuff that I paid for or made. It's like it's a really satisfying proposition, I think.
I can imagine.
Yeah. But, I do get nervous, and I have had people who will drag their feet about, paying on the back end or whatever. And it's just like, what are you going to do?
Yeah. And based on the way you were talking, I just assume everything kind of took forever. So that's good that there's that don't. So you brought up some of those. What's an item you could just do in your sleep at this point?
So yeah, I mean, like a forged rose, like a one piece. I actually wrote an article for Abana about those, but I can get through one in about 45 minutes now. There's a blacksmith knife. I've been doing a lot of those lately, and those I can probably, maybe like 2 hours, I can probably pound one out. If I was going to make a bunch, I could probably get that down.
So you said like the katana obviously would need like sharp pressed edges and whatnot.
Oh yeah, I mean
blacksmith knife is a lot easier.
A blacksmith knife is basically, I mean, it's the sort of charm of it is that it's all one piece. You basically just forge down like, there's a blade and then just put a little rat tail tang that kind of bends around and comes, like that. So
Got it.
So it's like just this handy little thing that you can like you can clip on a belt or, whatever. But those, and, I also teach this stuff at a adult education center. And so like that's for a novice can probably get through one of those in, 3-4 hours.
Oh, okay.
And that's, the hard part after that is if you want it to look all like smooth and polished or whatever, you're going to have to do some more work at that point. But for, just to have something that somebody can, give you $50 for and take away that same day, it's nice,
like a nice way to just keep going.
Yeah.
Right. Just like keep the lights on kind of items type deal.
Yeah.
So to speak.
Yeah. I mean, trying to think of what else. Yeah. I mean, a lot of the sort of keep the light on items would be just like doing like repairs of stuff. I mean, there's always people who need things fixed. I got an email this morning from a guy who has an antique carving knife that he needs repaired, and so it's obviously got sentimental value. But like that's the kind of stuff it'll probably take me, I don't know, 3-4 hours, something like that. And, you know what I mean? But items I produce, I mean, yeah, like I can make a candlestick, set of fireplace irons, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Like a little sort of household. Oh, I've been making these spatulas, kind of forged iron spatulas, which I think are pretty cool.
That is cool.
And like ladles, that kind of thing.
What's been the strangest request?
Strangest request? That's a good question. I asked, there was a guy who wanted me to make him like a whole, I don't know what you call it, torture rack, dungeon setup thing, like he wanted like actual like chains and manacles and stuff. And, I mean, he wound up not pulling the trigger, but it actually would have been a really interesting project, now that I think about it.
All right, hey, let's take a quick break because I want to talk about Chicagoland Chevy Dealers. Summer is here, and if you haven't made the move into a new Chevy yet, what are you waiting for? Chevy drives Chicago all year round. The Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana Chevy Dealers have what you want and what you need. Whether you're in need of a new truck, new SUV, new mom or dad ride, like the all-new Traverse, we have it for you. Listen, we've been talking about it all week, literally the last couple weeks here, how we're gearing up to head to northern Wisconsin, the Northwoods, for Camp Barstool, and we have nobody to thank besides Chiefs Blazer for getting us there. It's a great car. It's really spacious for us, and honestly, we'd be in a tough spot if we didn't have that Blazer. So shout out to them for that. And head to your local Chevy dealer to learn more about what your next ride could be today. Go get that Traverse, get that Blazer. Maybe you want to go pickup truck, get that Silverado. Tailgate season at Soldier Field is right around the corner after all. Or just take it to Sox Park. Obviously, they might have some October baseball. So whatever you do, like I said, head to your local Chevy dealer and learn more about what your next ride could be today. Well, I have a quick question for you guys. How are my Shady Rays basically the same quality as the $200 sunglasses I used to buy? I don't know, but I'm not exaggerating. They feel every bit as premium and as expensive as the expensive brands that I've owned, okay? Meanwhile, I'm wearing Shady Rays to the lake, on a boat, at the game, on the job site. Because if I drop them in the ocean, they replace them. Knock them off the dock, they replace them. Sit on them one day, they replace them. And here's the crazy part. Like I said, they're actually premium. Polarized lenses that cut glare hard, super clear optics, durable frames with solid hinges. Clean, classic styles that look sharp without trying too hard. If you're outside, on the water, in the sun, driving every day, you need shades that actually perform. Go to ShadyRays.com, grab a pair, and get sunglasses with lost and broken protection. We've teamed up with Shady Rays to bring an exclusive offer. Head to ShadyRays.com, use code WALK for 50%, that's 50% off. 2 or more polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself. The shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. You won't be disappointed. I mean, yeah, that's one of those things where you're like, all right, this is never a dull day.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
It's kind of interesting. Do you have an item you're most proud of?
Item I'm most proud of. Wow. I would say, I mean, those double gates for Ignite, honestly, right up there. That was a really nice big project. There's also probably one of the first projects I did when I was out on my own was making a large ornamental railing, and that for a couple in Oak Park, and that was pretty intense because it was like I don't think anybody realized how much work it was going to be based on the design that I submitted, and that took me a good couple of months work on that. But it looks great, and they still tell me how great it looks and how many compliments they get on it.
That's awesome. And this stuff is, I got to imagine, it's built to last, right?
Oh yeah, I mean that's kind of the point. One thing is, with the outdoor stuff, it's always, it does fall a little bit on the client to kind of, maintain it. I mean, you keep a piece of steel outside, it's going to rust unless it's, been encapsulated by, paint or something somehow. And so if that stuff, somebody scrapes their shovel on it, shoveling snow, and then you don't go back and touch up that area, then, it's going to rust there, But it is, I try to make everything, definitely built to last, and certainly better than stuff you can buy at Home Depot.
Do you get frustrated with that kind of stuff? Like how, it seems that everything is just made cheaper and
oh yeah,
weaker?
I mean, I understand the way the economy works for this stuff. It's like people, but it in a bunch of ways it gets pretty frustrating when people are used to just buy a new one, instead of bothering to fix the old, or just buy one that you're going to have for the rest of your life, whatever it is. And luckily, since the stuff that I make is very decorative, very ornamental, people tend to give it a little bit more respect as an object. You know what I mean? They'll kind of pay more attention, and if it is something that needs to get dusted or whatever, they're gonna take care of that. But yeah, it can be very frustrating, particularly when I get called, be like, hey, can you make me a suit of armor or something? I'll be like, okay, and I figure out how long it's going to take me, and whatever. And they say, okay, so for that piece, you're looking at like $5,000. I go, what? I can get one at the mall for like $300. I'm like, go get that one then. What are you bothering me for? It's something made out of pressed aluminum or something. Swords in particular, people ask me to make swords, and they're like, kind of shocked at how much I would charge. And mostly that's because, I don't really make swords that much, so I'm not like a sword factory, but just the stuff you can get on, from websites or whatever. I mean, it's like just absolute garbage, but it looks like a sword, and if that's what you want, you should get that.
Is there any particular product like within everyday life that particularly frustrates you, where you're like, these are such pieces of shit now?
Oh, geez. That's a good question. I don't know. Car parts count?
Yeah, sure. That counts.
I mean,
tools,
yeah. I mean, well, just like stuff that's made out of plastic that just doesn't need to be made, or that shouldn't be made out of plastic. I mean, the water pump on my car, it's just a little chunk of plastic this big, and it's $150, and it's gonna wear out after 10,000 miles. It's like, come on, man. Somebody's got to make one of these that's at least like cast aluminum or something. But in terms of work, I think hammers, that can be frustrating. I guess the ones you get at like Home Depot or Harbor Freight or whatever. These are not designed to really take abuse and last or whatever, but they still call them blacksmiths hammers.
You take that personally?
A little bit. A little bit.
As you should.
But no, well, I mean, I have a class I sometimes teach, which is making old crappy hammers, reforging them into somewhat better, like usable forging hammers. retempering, rehardening, all that stuff. But yeah, most of what you can buy, I mean, it's just crap unless you're, you have to find somebody who actually makes hammers to get a good hammer, I feel like,
Yeah, for sure. Because that's one of the big complaints I always hear is that some of these old companies just, it's not what it used to be.
Yeah, for sure. And there's also, so like, we had this sort of surge of, anvil making about 4 or 5 years ago. And there's like a couple companies came out and started making like really good, like high quality anvils that are produced in the U.S., which is really awesome. And then Amazon and Vevor got in on it and just kind of flooded the market with these cheap cast steel anvils, which are fine if you're just going to use it, for like a couple of weekends or whatever. And just kind of these like companies that were making like really good ones just kind of couldn't keep up, couldn't pay for the raw materials and stuff like that. So,
that's a shame.
Yeah, it is. It's a bummer.
Yeah. What about, do you turn down projects?
Yeah, I do.
What's something you've turned down and why?
When it's something that's just going to be too complicated, or if it has like weird legal stuff, anytime somebody wants me to sign an NDA, I'm kind of like,
Can I ask what that was for?
I work with designers and contractors and architects, whatever. And, but occasionally, they will have a client who's, famous. And so, they say, okay, so what you're working on, you cannot publish pictures of it. You can't talk to, you need to sign an NDA that you won't, say that this is going in such and such person's home. And it's just sort of like, okay, I don't, and that's just kind of, I understand, they just don't want anything to be public or whatever, but it's like, I have a hard time keeping my mouth shut about things in general, and I don't want to worry about saying the wrong thing at some point.
Yeah, if you helped with J.B. Pritzker's gold toilets, you would want people to know that was you, right?
No comment.
What about but I also imagine like that guy who said he had a knife that he wanted. It was like an antique knife. Like, is that kind of like, I don't know, man. I don't want to mess up your thing.
It depends. So I haven't even that's just an email I have to. I actually haven't replied to the guy yet if he's watching. But it depends on what it is and like what needs to be done to it. Because, if it's I don't want to throw a bunch of technical jargon at you, but it's if it's like just sort of like a nice carbon steel and it just has like a broken tang and I need to like put that. Sure, fine, no problem. I have no issues with that. I can't say what it'll do to like the resale value, but most of the time when people come to me with stuff like that, it's because it's like it was their grandfather's, and they want to use it this year for Thanksgiving or something. You know what I mean? It's not a issue of we want to maintain the value.
Yeah.
And for a lot of these folks, it's like just finding somebody who can do that stuff is a challenge, so like that's why they're calling me, is because they Googled Chicago blacksmith and I'm the one that came up.
That's how I found
that's
it.
How you found me.
Yeah.
So it's there are something, if it's something that has like historical significance, I'd probably be like, we probably should talk to somebody with a little bit more experience in conservation, that kind of thing. The ones that I mostly turn down are people with just, unrealistic expectations, or anyone who says, oh, I was trying to see if you could maybe do it cheaper. I'm like, you mean cheaper than the thing you buy at Walmart? That thing that's like produced in the thousands by a bunch, company in China. Like, you want me to be able to do it cheaper like that? I'm not. Like, I don't bother.
But that's kind of the checkmate. Like, that's what you want. Go get that done.
Yeah. And that's, yeah. So, and that's kind of a thing that I would say that you're asking about products that might upset me. That's got to be one of them, is, just cheap stuff that people can't tell the difference about from like real proper handmade things.
How much do movies and TV aggravate you?
It's kind of a love-hate thing. I mean, I think it's, so first of all, it's really cool that, there's more media out there about just metalworking in general and blacksmithing in particular that are getting people interested in it, getting people to come and, want to try it out and want to, see what's possible. But there is the armchair expert I encounter with some frequency who just kind of, will tell me, oh, well, that's not, I saw it on an episode of Forged in Fire, or, that's not how they do it in Lord of the Rings. It's like, dude, that's not what we're doing here,
Yeah.
So it's, six dozen to one, half of the other,
And what about like any props or anything like that? Is there something you see and you're like, yeah, that's...
I mean, most, fantasy armor, weapons, that kind of thing. I mean, it's, whatever. I play video games. I understand they're not meant to be, usable, right? But sometimes, where people sort of come and, expect that sort of thing in the real world and just be like, okay, that's not, like, you can't even use that the way you think you can use it, if it was a physical object. Like, it wouldn't even work, like that's...
Yeah.
that's tricky.
That's funny.
But
yeah. How many times do you burn yourself a day?
Oh, I mean, I don't burn myself that much.
No?
Not that much anymore. Or I've just developed so much scar tissue I can't feel it anymore.
Are you kind of numb though?
A little bit.
Fingertips?
I have really thick calluses on my hands, and so sometimes I'll pick something up, and then somebody else will grab me. I'm like, oh, sorry, I forgot things are hot. But honestly, it's I like to say the worst time I ever burned myself was on the rack in my oven, at home.
Really?
You know what I mean? Like, that's the worst burn I've ever had. Because, if you respect the equipment and you respect the process and you know what you're doing, you don't have injuries, just basic safety precautions.
But early on, it was a lot more when you were starting out.
Yeah, I'd say somewhat. I mean, I burned myself a lot more than the average person, but I wouldn't say anything bad. Like, if a sparkle, go into my glove or my boot or something like that, I'll get a little, like, looks like a zit or something like that. Sometimes a little worse, but it's, honestly, I kind of am used to it now too. I mean, you can tell you've been welding a while when your pants catch on fire and you're just like kind of relaxed. Ah, man, you're more pissed you have to buy a new pair of pants.
Yeah.
But it's, fire can be your friend, and I like to play with it. So
what about inhaling stuff? Is that...
Yeah, I mean, that's, as I get older, it's something I'm worried about more, I would say. Certainly I've in my career, I've welded a bunch of stainless, and, doing that without a respirator turns out is not a great idea, but nobody knew about that when I was doing it. I try to wear a face mask more when I'm, especially when I'm doing, like, finishing work. But you do worry about it. But smoke is kind of, smoke and ash is kind of, it's going to be there, and there's not much you can do about it. And, fingers crossed.
Are you just like firing out black boogers constantly?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's always fun when you blow your nose, it comes out black. But that's usually on finishing days, honestly.
Yeah.
So.
What do you think of Valerian steel?
What do I think of Valerian steel? Oh man, my son plays that game, and if I get this answer wrong, he's gonna be so pissed. No, it's the best steel in
fantasy.
Okay.
What is what? I mean, I know it from Game of Thrones.
It's for Game of Thrones. Oh, you're talking about Valerian steel. What do I think about? Wait a minute. I thought you were asking about something else.
Maybe it is a game too. Very well could be a game.
Yeah.
Do
Okay.
you know? I don't know if you know.
I'm thinking of something else, maybe.
Yeah.
Oops. Okay.
Yeah.
Edit. You can cut that out.
No, it's just like a fake.
Okay.
No. Type of steel. That.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I mean, it's so. It's sort of like. I mean, that's from the books, right? So it's sort of like they're talking about, like, lost technology or something, like, you know what I mean? It's like Valerian steel is something you can get, but nobody can produce anymore. That's sort of like what happened with Damascus steel. which
Damascus is gone.
I mean, there's a lot of steel out there now that's called Damascus, and it's basically just become sort of a catch-all term, meaning like multi-layered steel, like forge welded, whatever. But it was, oh God, I don't know why it was called Damascus originally. I think it was because it was from that area. But the examples that they've found have been like it hasn't been reliably reproduced since. But it's not to say that it's better than anything else that has come after. But it's something like you have to have the right sand from the right beach in order to, you know what I mean, in order to make the crucible or whatever. And it's like we just don't have those things.
Okay.
But but yeah, so Valerian steel, I think, it's for killing White Walkers, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, nice.
You nailed it.
Good job.
That's how Arya did it with the dagger.
Yeah.
It never needs to be sharpened. That's the thing about Valerian.
There it is.
All right. I wish I had some of that.
All right. Anything else we didn't get to? Any particular interesting parts about blacksmithing or good stories or anything like that?
Let's see. I should probably shout out to Abana, ABANA, Artists Blacksmith Association North America. They're a really great organization. Anybody who is interested in taking up blacksmithing as a hobby should get in touch with them. They have their national certification courses where you can do like levels 1, 2, and 3 certification as a blacksmith. They send you a certificate, and you just have to be an Abana member. And I'm a certified instructor of that program, and it's one of the few things that's really accessible to everyone, regardless of what level of shop you have or what level of skill you have. You can start in that program and complete it, and have something that you can show later that speaks to your skill level, and will, is demonstrable.
So that's a hobby end. What if someone wants to, get crazy and make this profession? Would you recommend it? Is there money to be made? Like, is there?
There's so much work out there. I mean, if I would say if you want to do blacksmithing as a profession, I mean, first of all, you're going to have to use modern methods. I don't know. People have this romantic idea that a blacksmith is just using like old-fashioned stuff, which I do, but not if there's if there might be a more convenient, better way to do it. But there's so much work out there. Just if you want to get started, just get good at whatever metalworking you can. Take a class. Just because the ability to say, yeah, I can do that is kind of going to be your most valuable commodity.
Got it.
And so, I've been pretty fortunate in that I like to collect skills, so I can say yes a lot. But now I get to say no, which is even better. But I would say, just keep doing it. Keep hitting hot metal any chance you get. That's the best way to go.
There it is.
Yeah.
And then define you, jgilbertmetal.com.
jgilbertmetal.com. Yep.
Love it. Anywhere else I could find you?
You can find me on Instagram, rot-irony.
Rot-irony.
Yeah. And I have a YouTube channel. I think it's J. Gilbert Metal on YouTube. But if you go to my website, you can find links to all that stuff.
And you'll be able to see what the gates and everything I was talking about. So looks really nice. So Joshua, thanks so much for your time. I appreciate you jumping in here. Very interesting stuff. And thanks again.
Thanks for having me.
All right. That's it, everyone. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. That's it for today. That's it for this week. We'll be back on Tuesday. See you then.